There you go. All right, today we're taking the old bull ring pliers and cleaning up a lot of the crap that was just from the ground, getting it ready so that when my rust remover arrives, we can soak it, try to get the rest of the regular rust off. Right now we're just getting off the rusty dirt and these big scale bits that aren't so much rust as they're the stuff that was coalescing the rust and the moisture around the tool. That's a little too big to get in the holes. You see, I can always remove quite a bit. Unfortunately, I was having lighting issues. It's a good start. It's starting. A lot of this will have to come off when it's soaked in the rust remover. And then I'll have to get penetrating oil in here and try to loosen her up. But this was almost a solid blob. This was all full. This side was just a cake. This side of the ring plier itself, this was all caked. This side was fairly clear. It's coming. This relic has a lot of rust to it. It's a bit more of a ambitious attempt at revival than I usually do. But you should always be ambitious. You should always challenge yourself. The status quo becomes stale very quickly. And if you're always just going along to get along and settling for the status quo, you're never going to advance. You never get to build anything to be proud of. You just survive. And well, sometimes even just surviving is pretty hard. There's something to be said for the satisfaction of being more than you were yesterday. Being better than you were yesterday. This was a lump of mud and rust. It's starting to resemble a tool. It's more than it was yesterday. Yesterday it was more than it was last week. This week ago, this was lost in the mud behind an old barn. Tools, people, they have a lot in common. They have to be taken care of. They have to be nurtured. And when they get bad, when they've been lost and buried and ignored, they have to be restored. I'm no good with people. Notice the plethora I have around here. But I like to think that I'm at least halfway decent with tools. And while these may never put another ring in a bull's nose, they'll at least look like they could. And with any luck, they would be able to, should the need arise. Don't see it happening, but it's not the point. The point is what you can do, not what you do. Always learn everything you can. Even if you only use it once in your life, that once might completely change the trajectory of your fortunes. Whereas not knowing how to do something might leave you helpless at the wrong time. Yeah, that was a nice big old wad of barnyard there. I know that some people are going to take exception to, well, philosophy. But you can't work with this old stuff. Work with the past. Live in the present. Think about the future without becoming a bit of a philosopher. As well, it all ties together. It makes you think. Chunk of metal on the ground. Ignored. Owner of the property didn't even know it was there. His father might have. He didn't. Everything goes through stages in life. From the brand new to the used every day, to hardly used, to forgotten, to what you see here. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You can bring it back. You can restore it. And you see that a lot with people too. Everybody starts off with promise. Every person is born with promise. And some, they achieve that promise. They even overachieve. And others, whether it's through their own fault or others' fault or no fault of anybody's, never quite get there. Maybe they're forgotten. Maybe they struggle too much. Maybe they're not understood. And maybe it's easier to avoid the world than be in the world. Just like old tools, just like old cars, just like anything that's been ran over by progress. People are useful too. Everybody still has promise. As long as you have breath, you have promise. People look on homeless people as a burden. I look on it as wasted potential. How many brilliant minds that just don't operate in quite the way that society wants are being wasted by substance abuse, by just not fitting in, by being shunned for being not quite normal enough. And what is normal? I mean, look at some of the people we've had in government. You wouldn't describe them as normal. Yeah, look at the people that people worship as celebrities. A lot of them sure as hell ain't normal. Just looking around at your friends and family, you're going to see people that, maybe they're a half bubble off plum. And there's nothing wrong with that. Normal is overrated. Everybody has potential. Everybody has promise. No matter their age, no matter who they are. We have to stop thinking of our people as liabilities and trying to find oddly shaped holes for oddly shaped people. I've gotten into way too much philosophy on this video. I may or may not publish it. But it's worth thinking about.